Hello and welcome to a very, very special Live at 5. I am thrilled to be here with Robin from Equenergy and her partner in crime, Natasha Harris. It's so lovely to see how you've developed. And today we are celebrating 9 years in business. Now, that is an achievement in itself. So, Robin, first of all, I'm going to welcome you both to the show, and I'm going to come over to you, Robin, to tell us a little bit about what Equenergy is all about. For those people who haven't met you, they have been under a rock because you are everywhere. Exposure is your thing. And to see the journey that you've traveled in the last couple of years when it's been really difficult for so many businesses has been incredible because you're always out there, you're giving advice. So how do you stay current and how do you stay successful? 9 years in business, it's amazing. Well done, first of all.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been a huge, huge journey. My business now is unrecognizable from when I set it up 9 years ago. I was so naive. It's really embarrassing to look back and think what I was sort of expecting, because I had another business before this one, and that one I'd kind of been working in as an employed person and doing little bits as a freelancer on the side. So I just walked into a business basically, and I thought, oh, it's just going to be the same. It's that easy to run your own business. It's not. And because this is quite a different field for me, it's been a huge, steep learning curve. And all of the things that you have to do, I never in the other business had to advertise because I already had the contacts. I never had to market myself. It was a cinch. Whereas with this business, because what I offer is quite unique and it's quite a new way of looking at well-being. It's quite a new paradigm. So it's getting people to really understand what it is that I offer. But for that, it's been great for me working alongside coaches. And the current coach that I'm working with, Sarah Wisniewski, she's very much around visibility. I worked with her before she had that rebrand, but now she's visibility coach. And so if you're seeing me everywhere, this will be why, because she's so good. I just love working with her. She so gets the whole heart-centered, soul-led aspect of the way that I work, because that's where she's coming from too. Alongside Natasha, because obviously our brand is how we're seen. And while we ourselves as solopreneurs are our brand, there's also all the imagery, and as you can see my branding in the corner there, there's all of these things that make up how you're seen, how you're perceived. And Natasha has updated my logo. It's so beautiful now. It's so much more natural and bespoke, tailor-made, because previously I just had something off Canva, as you do when you're a solopreneur. You're starting out, you're trying to get things as much as you can yourself for free, all of this kind of stuff going on. But when you can get somebody on board, for a start, you don't feel alone anymore. It was so touching, I have to say, Natasha, when you first started working with me and started to say our business, it first of all was, ooh, that's really weird. I've never ever heard that before. But all of a sudden it felt like, oh, I'm in a team. I have support and I have somebody working alongside of me who gets what I do and who gets how important images are for my visibility, for portraying who I am and what I do. And she does it. I just tell her what I want and she goes off and does it even better than I ever imagined.
I know, Natasha, you really have, because I've known Robin for a good few years now, and I have seen you completely embrace the brand and just make it in to something really, really special. But I want to touch on one point before I come over to you, Natasha, because I think to stay successful in business, you've got to have visibility. And you mentioned coach and mentioning sort of a few outsourcing tools that I know, Robin, that you've been a fan of and that you would do if you know, that you would really, really embrace people to do, because I think in business it can be really lonely, especially as solopreneurs and as you're starting out, and you have to wear all the hats. You have to be the marketing, you have to do the accounts, you have to do the website, you have to do things that you particularly sometimes don't really like, but they have to be done. And a lot of that things is the admin stuff, the accounts, you know, social media perhaps is something that people find really overwhelming. So I think to stay successful, when you can find people to collaborate with, find people to outsource to, because sometimes that time that it costs to outsource to others is actually really valuable time that you can spend with your clients or doing what you're really good at. But people are often so scared of that element. But what would you say, Robin? Because, you know, that's 9 years down the line and you doing that and you're doing it very well. So tell us a little bit about your thoughts around that. And then we come over to Natasha.
For years, I thought it'll be too expensive. I can't afford to outsource. I outsourced my account straight away because numbers, not my thing. So I had an accountant. I had an accountant with the first business and it was just seamless. He carried on and he covers all of what I do. So that was, and it's such a big stress relief. I think that's so important. I think as solopreneurs, we have to take, I mean, I'm going to say this, aren't I? Because I'm all about well-being, but we have to take care of ourselves as number one. So reduce stress as much as you possibly can, outsource. And then I got Danielle Brown from First for Help Virtual PA to do my social media posting. I create the posts and I schedule them and she posts them. But that's the bit that I don't like. I love creating them. I love writing them. I love finding the imagery for them. But I thought, Danielle, you know, I thought VAs have to do this block and it costs so much because they do all of it. Not at all. Talking with Danielle, she showed me that, well, I can outsource as much or as little as I like. I can still have my own voice. She posts as me. It's opened my eyes to what outsourcing means. And then obviously getting into the Kickstart scheme and being able to have Natasha with me has just been a whole new ballgame.
So let's come over to Natasha because you've been sitting there very patiently. So you have done some incredible work on the new website and it's been launched just a few weeks ago now and there's so much going on. So first of all, I want to ask you if people are looking, because it is important to stay current and up to date, and often that is the last thing on people's to-do list because you don't have the time. You're doing what you're good at and perhaps, you know, updating. I'm one of them. Updating my, you know, our website we have would be the last job on my list if I had to do it myself. But luckily I outsource it to somebody else as well. But what do you think people should think about staying current? What sort of things would you say to think about as a solopreneur if you take the time to update and things? What would that be?
If you're going to update your website, I think the main thing people kind of maybe a little bit skip because you're rushing and you're busy with other stuff and people are really busy nowadays is the structure. So a really big thing me and Robin had was looking at our website and saying we want this current and we want this here and we want this here, but then it was, can people find the things they need quickly? Can they get from A to B without having to go A, B, C and adding all these other points in between? Is it easy enough to go from here to here? And then it was, does it look on brand for us? Because we just rebranded. We were looking at all these new colors, all these new fonts, and all of our imagery. We had a lot of photographs to add in and thinking, is this how we want to be represented as a brand? And is it how potential clients and our current clients want us to look? So that was a really big part. That's kind of where adding in the user feedback and user experience and going out and testing things came in, because it's great to think, yes, our website looks beautiful. We had about 6 moments, I think, in time where we were like, yes, this is finished, it's beautiful, we're going to leave it. And then we came and we went, no, because when so-and-so tested it, they said that they couldn't find this, and that's on us. We've got to go back and we've got to restructure it. We've got to place things here. The menu at the top of the page was, I think, the biggest pain we've ever had, because we just kept changing things around. We were like, look, if we want people to contact us, it's got to be one of the easiest things they can find. It's got to be right there saying, contact me, and it's got to be really, really clear, instead of going through a menu and going through get connected, go down, contact us, be at the bottom. It's got to be really focused in. And I think that's kind of how you stay current, is thinking not necessarily on what other contests, like what your competition's doing. That's important, but it's how are the users using this website is really the defining point, because it's great to have a website that competes with everybody, but is it doing what it needs to do?
Really
Our
good
main
point.
structure. Yeah.
There's some really good points there. And I think one thing that I picked up that you said amongst many was that fact that what do your audience want? So I know that Robin is really kind of creating lots of blogs, giving so much out for sort of free content to help sort of new customers understand what you're all about, but also to keep the current customers kind of happy with little meditations, little, new blogs coming out on hints and tips. So you're almost talking to your audience in the end, because it is your sort of window shop, isn't it? It's your shop front for everything that you do, and people need to see that. So that's a really important thing. And I think that is absolutely beautiful on the website, because it's easy to find. It's really easy to find subjects, because I was one of the testers, and I kind of did I liked all the fluffy bits, well as Jamie, I know, was also one of the testers, and he went through the more technical bits. But it's about not being scared of asking the audience for help, isn't it? So you actually, your trusted clients that have been with you for a long time, don't be scared of asking them about what they want to see and how to utilize it. I think it's a good point to say. Would you agree, Natasha?
For sure. So when you have an independent business, a small business, whatever you'd like to label yourself as, it's a personal relationship between your clients compared to maybe a big company like Amazon or something. I'm sure, well, they do use a test, but it was saying, I know these people really well. They know me really well. If they test my website, they're going to know what I want to show, but they're going to say, look, we're not looking for that, because they don't have to sugarcoat things all the time. So it's really nice to go and use a test that, because we had such amazing detailed feedback from so many people. It was really exciting. I had them printed out on sheets and I was highlighting it, because there's so many points. And I think it was really a big turning point for our website, because we went from having a lot of like graphics and pictures and stuff to thinking, we don't need all of this. We can take that out and we can make this simpler, and maybe it's a bit too wordy by here and we can change that around. So
yeah, it's a good one. One of the things that that you mentioned there, I think is really important, because when I go onto a website, if I can't find a phone number and I get a contact details form, that's something that really puts me off. So why would you explain that to us? Because you're obviously in this field, you know how to create a website, you know what to do with it. What would you say about having a contact form and having you've got to have a phone number as well, don't you? Or would you say a contact form is fine for some businesses? And because it really is something that I sort of think, if I can't find the details quick enough, I will jump on and I'll probably search elsewhere.
yeah, well, that's the thing, is we're coming to an age in technology where if it's not now, it's never. It's people want things within 3 seconds flat, and that's just how our minds work, because we get things done so quickly. Time is of the essence. So if people can't find a way to contact you and know that their contact is going through, so sometimes contact forms, I think, can be effective if you have, like, if you want to collaborate with someone, if you've got something to ask that maybe necessarily you couldn't find on the website. They can be important and they can be really vital to helping, going a bit deeper into problems, maybe finding a better way to connect with whoever needs to connect with you. But then adding things, so we don't have a number, so to say, on the website. We have WhatsApp and how to contact us through Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn. But people like that because it's an instant form of contact.
Yeah.
And that's really what people want. It's not always, I'll contact them now and hopefully they'll get back to me tomorrow. It's, I need to contact them now and get that feedback now, because that's just how customers are going to work.
Yeah, that's a really clever way, though, because obviously with you, it's a WhatsApp number, it's Facebook, which is where the business Equenergy is so visible. So you have the Facebook group, and I know that there's always a response really, really quickly. So it's a really easy way, which again comes back to the business that you have. So, like you said, contact forms can be brilliant, especially for something that you need to ask questions and go a little bit deeper where people are going to find out. So that works really, really well. So it's thinking about how your audience wants, again, to see you and how they normally contact you. Because I think sometimes you forget about that because it's your baby. And when you're creating that kind of, is really, really important, which is why I think you did really great to kind of come to the testing element and getting the feedback of what people want to see. Because I know that Robin's presence on social media is really, really strong. And obviously she comes back to people really quickly. So it's a great form of getting in touch with people. So what would you say about what to think about if we just touch briefly on the layout and branding and the design? Do you need to kind of have something in mind before you start working on your website, or is it sort of just go with the flow as you start developing?
I think both can work. So if you have a really big website, Robin has a really big website. She has all the blogs and different areas that she works in. We needed a structure. So the first 2 days of us going through the website was mocking up little areas. Should we put this here? We could put that there, link this here, add in some icons. Icons are fantastic for helping people guide through a website. But then sometimes people don't always work like that. Sometimes it is easier for you to just make up the website and then fix the connections later. So if you have just a few pages on your website, or you only offer, limited things, it's really nice to just mock it up and then say, right, so we're going to connect this here. But the vital part for both is making sure that your users can still use it and that everything works. Because I could say like thousands of things that can work on a website, but if that doesn't work for your client, then it's not going to work at all. So,
no, I think the whole conversation around the client is the most important thing amongst this, isn't it? And that's the most important, vital part to have a business being successful, because without the clients, you haven't got a business. So you wouldn't be here after 9 years if you didn't think about your clients, Robin. And I know that they are so close to your heart. And you have really, I must say, if you haven't looked at the website yet, please do, because it's absolutely gorgeous. And I love the fact that everything is very well structured, so it's really, really easy to find. So yeah, thank you so much. And Robin, I'm going to come back to you briefly and just want to ask you about some top tips around somebody thinking to start out in business. What would your sort of top tip be to think about when you're starting out?
I'm going to say, look after yourself again. How can you take care of yourself? And remember that, because when you're starting out in business, you're maybe really full of excitement and you've got all of these plans and these ideas and intentions of how it's going to be, but it doesn't always pan out that simply. You may get there, yes, and you need to hold an intention and set a goal of where you want to be, but it can end up being, the graph that you see sometimes, it's not like the straight line, it's the up, down, all over the place. I went here, I went there, and I eventually got to where I wanted to go. So through all of that, we can be so tempted, because it's our passion, to throw everything into it, not sleep, not eat sometimes, just get so distracted and so bogged down, and to get caught up as well in the things that we don't enjoy, or things that aren't really why we're in business. So I know that for me, I can get caught up in the tech side, whereas actually why I'm in business is to work with people and animals. So rather than being facing outwards, sometimes I'm too inwards. And I have to make sure that I keep a balance and that I'm looking after myself, because if I don't have me, I don't have a business as well. So making sure that I keep myself well topped up, my energies and everything, and that I have that balance. So it's keep a balance and keep your joy, keep connected to your joy, because if you lose that, you lose your passion, and then your business just becomes a grind, which is probably, if you've left employed world and come out to have greater freedom, that's what you left for. So don't get too caught up and lose that. Keep bringing it in.
That's so lovely, because it can happen. It's happened to me, and I often, Robin knows me really well, and she knows I can be a complete workaholic. And actually, I have to stop myself from kind of going into that, because both Jamie and I are massive ideas people, and it's 100 miles an hour. But I've been very close to burnout, and I know the kind of signs to look out for. So looking after yourself, because actually, if you don't look after yourself, you're not going to be able to look after your business or your clients. But it's something that sometimes we just don't see it. So it's taking that step back sometimes, I think, is really, really important. And that's why you stay successful, isn't it? But I think as well is not to expect everything overnight, because I think I see a lot of businesses go in, like you said, Robin, you go, 100 miles an hour and you're so excited because it's a new baby, and, and then it crashes because the joy has disappeared. You're not earning any money. You hadn't accounted for the fact that you might not be earning any money in the first 6 months. So your motivation and everything is unstable. So it's planning ahead, I think, about that. And that's, I think, is a vital part. Like you said, have that joy as well. It's really, really important, because otherwise, you're going to lose the motivation of why you have the business in the first place. So really, really good top tips.
And to keep a balance between the ideas, so the head stuff, but also being grounded.
Yeah.
So that you are realistic and right, this may not make any money for the next 6 months. How am I going to survive? And I need to keep my own energies topped up. How am I going to do that? Where am I going to have breaks and we may not be able to take long holidays away, but still to have those times when, okay, I'm going to take time for me now. So I'm going to fill my own battery and then I'll come back refreshed. And we think that I have to work on it solidly, not step away because, I'll lose momentum or whatever. But when we step away and we relax and we rest and we recharge our batteries, the inspiration comes back. And then we have greater clarity and we move forward with greater productivity and focus, and we're heart-led rather than just getting too much into the mind.
Is very important. I think when I had the restaurant, I used to have people walking through the door in the front every so often. I go, right, tonight when you come in, you walk through the front, because I want you to see it from a customer's point of view, not just sneaking in the back door, putting your handbag in the cupboard and then carry on with your shift, because you forget what it's like to walk in as a customer that's going to spend money. And the same goes with a client and online business. There's a whole thing about staying current that we've been talking about today, that shop front, your website, to stay current and making the customers want to come and have a look at your new blog, your newsletter, and all of those things. So thank you so much both for joining me today. It's been a really, real pleasure. And it's a lovely to get to know Natasha and Robin, to see you thrive throughout the last 2 years, throughout 9 years of business. It's just incredible. And I just want to finish off this note to say, if you want a little bit of peace and quiet, you just need a little bit of momentum to keep you going, you might have hit a little bit of a sort of plateau in your business, then if you want to thrive, then go and see Robin. I can't recommend her enough. So thank you so much, everyone who's been watching, and thank you both for coming on. And I shall look forward to seeing you very soon again. Take care, both.
Thanks, Charlotte.
Thank you. Bye.